Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, a really unique exploration.
Hmm.
We're looking at a collection of sources, diving into ancient lore, hidden math, some surprising synchronicity, too, all focused on one specific, very significant mountain.
Yeah, our goal today is really to unpack how these particular sources present connections that might really challenge how you usually think about things.
Right.
We're wading through quite a bit, ancient texts, geography, numbers, all building towards a kind of hidden story they propose.
Exactly. Think of it like we're looking over someone's detailed research notes, and we're here to help you see the patterns they found.
Uh,
We'll see how these sources try to link things you wouldn't expect, biblical stories, modern landmarks, maybe even reality itself, all through math and symbols.
mm,
So let's get into it. The Mount Hermon Enigma, a landing zone and an oath. Okay, so our journey starts with Mount Hermon. It features in the Book of Enoch. Why is this mountain so central to the sources we're looking at?
Well, what these sources really emphasize is its location. It's right on the 33rd degree north latitude,
33rd parallel, okay.
and the Book of Enoch says 200 fallen angels came down there on the summit.
200.
Yeah, and specifically 20 leaders among them, each supposedly watching over 10 others. That's how they get the 200 total.
Okay, and here's where the numbers get. Well, really interesting, according to these writers. They talk about 200 having this specific mathematical property. Smallest base, 10, unprimeable number.
Hmm.
What does that actually mean, and why do they think it matters here?
Right, so the concept as they explain it is that an unprimeable number can't become prime just by changing one digit.
Okay.
And they apply this to the angel story. It becomes a kind of mathematical echo or synchronicity for them.
How so?
The 200 angels, leaders included, they all swore this oath together. And the interpretation goes, none of them changed their digit.
Ah, so it symbolizes their unbreakable pact, their
Yep.
commitment.
Exactly, a unified, unchangeable decision in their view.
The highest temple's mysterious location.
All right, digging into Mount Hermon more. These sources mention a structure, Kaiser Antar, described as the highest ancient temple globally, right there on the summit.
That's the one.
But there's something a bit suspicious about it, or at least how its information is presented.
Yeah, that's what the sources suggest. For something apparently so significant, they point out that finding its precise geographical coordinates online is strangely difficult.
Mm.
It gives the impression, at least to these authors, that maybe its location is being deliberately, kept obscure, even though people like Sir Charles Warren wrote about it back in 1869.
Warren's work is key here then.
Yeah.
What did he find? He described it as what? Rectangular? Unroofed.
Yes, a rectangular building, no roof, sitting on an oval stone plateau. And he actually removed a limestone stele from there, a significant one.
And what did that stele say, according to these interpretations?
Well, George Nicholsburg translated the inscription. It apparently reads, "According to the command of the greatest and holy God, those who take an oath proceed from here."
Wow. Those who take an oath.
Exactly, and our sources immediately link that to the Book of Enoch's story. The Watchers, the fallen angels, taking that oath about human wives, bound by a curse.
So it reinforces the idea of Mount Hermon as the mountain of the
And
oath.
that's the argument, yeah. It's a name Charles Simon Claremont Gonneau noted too. It strongly suggests, for these researchers, that this is the spot, the actual landing zone.
Huh?
They even mention Warren's floor plan, which they describe as hard to find, showing an oval enclosure, a rocky cone, this small temple, solidifying the picture for them. The deeper symbolism, Vesica Pisces, mathematics, and hidden agendas.
Okay, so as we go deeper into these materials, there's this whole layer of symbolism and math they keep coming back to.
Definitely.
The Vesica Pisces, that comes up a lot. What is it, and why is it supposedly so important here?
So the Vesica Pisces, the shape made by two overlapping circles.
Right, like a lens shape.
Exactly. These sources present it as this really profound symbol. They say it represents the union between fallen angel and mankind, or the combination of the God seed and the serpent seed. That's the terminology they use.
The ultimate symbol for that mixing, they suggest.
That's the idea.
And they're not just saying it's a symbol conceptually, they argue it's physically there
Yeah.
on Mount Hermon.
Precisely. That oval stone plateau Warren described, they interpret that as reflecting the Vesica Pisces shape.
Ah.
And get the arch-shaped road going into the UN base up there. They identify that as the Arch of Baal and the dead center of this Vesica Pisces.
Cool.
Even the temple structure itself is sometimes interpreted as a cube, symbolizing being, locked into this reality like a matrix.
A matrix.
Yeah, and they say when you overlay geometric patterns on the site layout, it lines up remarkably well with things like the golden mean, the spiral mean, and one side of the Vesica Pisces.
Which brings us back to that number 33 again. It just keeps popping up in these connections they draw.
It really does. It's striking. You've got Mount Hermon on the 33rd parallel.
Yep.
Then the number 200 for the angels. In Roman numerals, that's CC.
CC.
And using this alphanumeric idea they propose, C is the third letter. So CC becomes...
The 33.
So symbolically, yeah, it's presented as this incredibly specific link within their whole framework.
And there's another biblical connection they make, isn't there? A pretty famous one.
Yes. The idea that 1/3 of the angels fell.
1/3, which mathematically is
33.333%, repeating forever.
another 33 connection.
Exactly. And the sources point out other appearances too. Water boiling at 33 degrees Newton, Elohim appearing 33 times in the Genesis creation story, even the Freemasons' known focus on the number 33. It's presented as a pattern.
And this symbolism, they argue, isn't just on Mount Hermon. It extends outwards to stars, cities.
Right. The temple name Khazar Antar, they link that to the star Antares,
Antares.
which they also refer to as the Lord of the Seed. And its visibility cycle around November 30th. Well, November is the 11th month. 30 divided by 10 is 3. 11 times 3.
Is 33. Another layer.
Another intricate numeric connection they propose, tying back to this idea of mixing the seed of women with the fallen angels.
So what's the bigger picture here, according to these sources? What does all this symbolism allegedly mean for us?
Well, the suggestion is that this whole framework, especially the Vesica Pisces, is actually hidden in plain sight.
Right.
They point to places like Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, the reflecting pool, the layout. They interpret that whole design as representing the mixing of the two cells.
Ah.
Even the Kaaba in Mecca, the circular movement of worshippers around it, they compare that to the storm at Saturn's North Pole, which looks hexagonal, almost like a cube from some angles.
Leading to Saturn as an evil father idea.
And that's the association they make, yeah.
Mm.
And they even bring in pop culture, the Hill Valley clock tower scene from Back to the Future. They interpret that as the eye, representing that first cell division, the mix of human and angel seed forming a convex lens, the Arch of Baal again, which they say deceives us, the bloodline, and the Bible's deeper coat.
Okay, this idea of mixed seeds leads to something pretty personal that these sources raise. The suggestion that, quote, most of us have some fallen angel DNA.
Mm-hmm.
How do they arrive at that conclusion, and what are the implications?
Well, they draw it from interpretations of biblical passages, like God telling the Israelites not to mix with the giants.
Okay.
They see that instruction as being about preserving a pure bloodline specifically for Christ.
I see.
And even the story of Solomon's judgment, the two women claiming one baby, they read that allegorically as a parable about the good seed and bad seed mixed together.
So the wheat and the tares parable comes into play here too, that concept of them growing together.
Exactly. Central to their understanding of God's plan, they see wheat and tares not just as good versus evil people, but as literal mixed bloodlines.
Yeah.
Meaning, in their view, if God just ripped out the tares, he'd damage the wheat too, because they're intertwined. So for them, this offers a different perspective on humanity's state and why salvation through faith in Christ is open to everyone, regardless of, their specific ancestry.
It also seems to present God in a specific way.
Yeah.
Like a god of math.
Indeed. That's a phrase they use. The sources claim God embedded complex scientific and mathematical knowledge in Scripture, stuff about brain physiology even.
Any examples?
They point to Genesis 22.17, sand and stars mentioned together. Then they show microscopic images of sand grains,
And they look like...
astonishingly like galaxies and stars in their view, suggesting a hidden layer of knowledge.
And this interpretive lens is even applied to Jesus' own words.
Yes. The instruction to the disciples, cast your net to the right side of the boat. They interpret right side as engaging the right hemisphere of the brain, which they call the Messiah brain, contrasted with the left brain, which they link more to the material world, logic, maybe sin.
And the 153 fish they caught.
That number, 153, is mathematically related to the description of the Vesica Pisces itself. So the interpretation becomes that Jesus was symbolically reclaiming his seed humanity from the serpent's influence. The Book of Enoch, a suppressed truth.
Okay, finally, let's touch on the Book of Enoch itself. It's obviously foundational for many of these claims. And
Absolutely.
the sources we reviewed suggest there's a reason it's not in the standard Bible canon.
That's a key assertion they make, yes. They claim that the only truly ancient pre-Christ copies are held in private hands, basically inaccessible to mainstream scholars.
Even though parts were found with the Dead Sea Scrolls,
Right.
alongside other biblical texts.
Right, found alongside them, but they contend the scholars making the decisions back then deliberately chose not to include it in the canon.
And the implication behind that choice, according to these sources, why leave it out?
The theory presented is pretty direct, that they, whoever is perceived as ruling the world, simply don't want people to know the information in it,
Especially the parts about
particularly the detailed accounts of the fallen angels, their interactions with humans, the knowledge they brought. It suggests, in their view, a deliberate suppression of key history to maintain control over our understanding.
outro. Wow. Okay, we have definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. I mean, from a specific mountain
Mount Hermon.
to these complex mathematical codes, ancient texts, symbolism, and even, as these sources claim, fundamental questions about human origins.
It's clear these materials really push you to look past the surface, doesn't it? To question the standard narrative and look for these deeper connections they believe weave through everything. History, spirituality, maybe the universe itself.
Yeah.
This whole exploration of Mount Hermon, the Vesica Pisces, the number 33, it's presented not just as trivia, but as part of a huge proposed cosmic story with ongoing effects.
So the takeaway for you, listening,
Yeah.
what might it be? Perhaps it gets you thinking. If these sources argue there are so many layers of meaning, maybe even mathematical precision, hidden right in front of us, what other perspectives or, I don't know, hidden truths might be out there? And could exploring connections like these, even if you don't fully buy into them, deepen how you think about faith or history or just your own place in it all?
Definitely food for thought.